everybody. On your way here today, did you guys, by chance, see any satellites falling out of the sky? Any planes falling? Any cars falling? No?
No.
All right. Well, why? Why do you think? Because everything that's held together in today's date is held together by welding. There's some welds in Omaha right now that are over 100 years old that have been welded before even anything has been, progressed in life. Like that was old in the black and white days. Old. So today I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit more about welding because I feel like a lot of people walk past it, don't give it a whole lot of good grace, and think it's it's whatever. We have somebody that does that, but more people now are not welding now, and there's a really bad deficit in people that are going into the welding career. I'm also going to give you guys some fun facts, and I'm going to give a little bit more deep dive into the process of MIG. So I welded at my high school for 4 years straight, and I have a certificate in the regular steel flat position with MIG, and that is what these are from. So this is what I earned that from, and they're a little dirty now because they've been sitting out, but they passed completely by a certified instructor. They passed completely by a certified inspector. So I know sort of what I'm talking about, and some of this information I did pick up. So first, I'm going to give you guys some fun facts. Welding first was actually not welding. It was called forging. So what we used to do back in Rome, and way back, was we'd stick pieces of metal, and there were nothing as strong as they were today, but it was more like brass and stuff like that we'd stick in a forge on top of each other, and it's called stack forging, and it'd slowly melt down, and we hit it with a hammer, and then we would make what we needed out of that. They would usually make swords, they'd make helmets, stuff like that. And so then eventually, when we started mass producing welds, as a nation or as a world really, was World War I. And that was because we had tanks and planes and guns and cars really, really rolling in. We needed to produce them fast. So they did that. And since then, there hasn't really been a whole lot of progress in the welding field, except for they have a lot better machinery, technology. The welds are still all the same, but they have better equipment for them. They have better safety standards and gear, so they can last longer and not die at 40 years old. That information I got from the Encyclopedia Britannica, not word for word, obviously, but so now I'm going to explain a little bit more about the process of OA, which is oxygen acetylene, which uses obviously a mixture of oxygen and acetylene to have and it comes out of a torch, a golden torch, and it has usually hoses that connect into it, and you spark your flames, and it'll come out like a flamethrower, and then you mix it to a perfect amount, and it comes to this really small blue flame, and that's what you use to start your puddle, and you hold it there for a good 10 seconds, and you'll slowly see it build up, and you circle, and then you dap it in there at the same time. It's a little difficult, kind of gets your brain working in the morning, which is really nice. And then the next process is TIG, which uses tungsten steel, which is the hardest, in my opinion, process of welding because you have such little room for error on it. If you're too close to it, you'll go into the puddle, and then it'll loop up on the tungsten, and the tungsten will turn black. And that means that you have to restart the weld itself, and then you have to chop off the tungsten and get new tungsten, and it gets expensive. And then that one also uses filler metal. So that one you don't have to go in a circle really. You kind of just spark it up. And you sit there and you just kind of move. But that one's also that one's tricky because you can't bounce up and down. You have to stay still. Now the most commonly used practice of welding is stick. Sorry, and it's super common because it's the most portable. You don't have to lug wire around all this extra stuff. You really just use your stick. You have an electrode which is wrapped in flux, which keeps the electricity flowing, and so it just doesn't go everywhere. And then that'll go down, and then you really just need to wipe off the slack, and then you're good. Fun fact actually about stick welding: it used to be wrapped in asbestos, which is when I said the safety standards gone up, because asbestos, if anybody doesn't know, is one of the leading causes to cancer. I'm pretty sure, right? Pretty sure. That's what I remember. Yeah, so I mean that's just a plus, I guess. We don't have cancer running around and everything anymore. And and I got that information from the New England Institute of Technology. Now, sadly, I can't keep talking about those because I didn't really do those that much. Those weren't my main processes of welding. My main process was MIG, and I made the 2 pieces of metal, wherever those were at, right there and right there. I made those out of purely MIG, and let me see one of them. And then this is, I believe this is the root pass. So this is my first weld I did. And the metal, when I first started, it was about a quarter of an inch apart. And I had to connect them, and then I had a backing plate. Luckily, if not, that would have been really difficult. But I had a backing plate, and it was horizontal. So I had to start like this, and so I have a little bit of a indent there, but other than that, it was pretty easy. And MIG is super easy because it's really just the gun that does it all. You really just pull the trigger and it shoots out. You have your wire shoot out from a hose that's connected to your machine, which has about a 50-pound wheel of wire in there. And then leading into that, you would have like a gas canister pulling up in there and going in there. And that would act as like a protection of the arc because there's sometimes little gusts of wind can happen. But the thing with MIG and the downside to MIG is that you can't be outside. You have to be inside because if you're outside, wind will just come, blow the gas away, and you can't weld. I mean, it's just like you're not doing anything. That's why stick is more popular. And like these pieces of metal, you see they're dirty now, but that's because they've been sitting. With stick, you could just clear that off and it'd be fine. You could weld on that. But with MIG, you would have to polish this, grind it all down, grind it, because it won't, the weld literally, I saw somebody not do that, and the weld exploded out. It was the weirdest thing ever. It looked like the metal just tried crawling out. It didn't stick because it was too cold on the bottom. There's just a lot of stuff that goes into it that people just don't think about with MIG. And that and another part of MIG process is the pulse. So pulse allows it so when you're welding, you can go about 10 times faster. You literally go and then you're done. It's like seriously just pull a line and it's done. And it also allows you to that's why you can do it really in any position. You can go like overhead, up it vertically, horizontally, flat, just because it allows it to have zero spatter and it just kind of sticks there, and it's really good. There's obviously downsides, like I said. You have to be really clean. You have to have, it has to be, you can't have it too hot, too cold, otherwise it just won't stick. And the weld itself, they're kind of weaker, and it's honestly getting taken over by robots, if I cannot lie. But I got all that from a Fundamentals of Welding magazine, so that's pretty cool. I thought that was legit. And that came off of the website of Britannica. Now, you're probably thinking, why do I care about welding? I mean, people do it. There's over a lot of people doing it. Well, now more than ever, we're in a job crisis of welding. We have... according to the American Welding Society, there is 710,000 welders right now. Out of how many of those, guess how many are under the age of 20? Age of 30. Give me a percentage.
10%.
10.
20%. 20% are under the age of 30. What's the average age for a welder? Can anybody tell me that?
50.
55. It raised up in a couple years because we're having less and less kids want to become a welder. And I asked my teacher when I was in high school this last year, why not? And he said he believes that it's because at a point in time during that World War I, we needed so many welders that they pumped out so many, and then eventually it became type of a, oh well, if you're not this, you just become like a tradesman. And then people look down on that when it was, no, we need those people. Those people make our lives run easier. Those people make the world run easier. And people think they don't get paid a lot, but I'm gonna tell you guys this. Starting out, you could come out of high school making $22.50 an hour, and that comes about $51,000 annually. That's a little insane. Just as an 18-year-old, you can make $51,000 a year. That's nice. And when you get to the age of about midway through your career, when you're about like a journeyman, finding your way through, you'll get paid $35 an hour. When you're a veteran, you'll get paid $40 an hour. So it just keeps going up and up and up. And the best part about it all is that they always need new people. Like, they always need people coming in because they don't have enough people now. Like, everybody's about getting to their end of their career. Yeah, we still have some kids going and some kids, like, about 100,000 kids going, but it'd be nice if they're, like, there's too many people wasting money on college that if they were smart enough, they would just use their skills and technique to go weld and make millions in about 10 years, right? Now, this tells us that there will always be jobs in welding, no matter what you do. You could be in front of the desk, or behind the desk, sorry. You could be behind the desk taking calls, making appointments, being the teacher, or you could be out there actually being a welder and showing people, like, making stuff for people to drive on, for bridges and stuff like that. Now, I hope what I told you guys today has maybe tickled your brain in a good way. It surely has tickled mine because it's just so fascinating to always learn about and search up because, it's just not something that everybody looks for. Thank you.